What kind of creator are you right now? Do you have a batch library ready to go? Do you have a lot of fun events, a lot of fun things you want to do for the summer? How can you adjust your goals to be supportive of the lifestyle you want to be leading right now? Not what the gurus and the people bullshitting about what the algorithm requires of you. Quality content will always rise above, but your ability to be disciplined and stay consistent, but you get to decide what that consistency is for this season. Being limitless is knowing your success and your growth are built on a radical belief in yourself. Limitless is honoring your purpose, your health, and impact above all else. Limitless is never playing small because the more alive you feel in your life, the more growth and success you attract. Hi, my name is Jamie Ratterman, and I am a holistic business coach, meaning I am just as invested in growing your health as I am in growing your wealth. With 11 plus years in brand and social media marketing, I help rebellious entrepreneurs master marketing, embody leadership, and say fuck it to the hustle. This show is here to encourage you to become more radically aware of your self-imposed limits, to break free of your shoulds, and to expand your brand into a movement led by you. Hello, lovelies. Welcome to another episode of the Limitless Podcast. I am full of energy. I just finished a fire ceremony. This is something I got to do with a previous guest of this podcast, Natalie Alderson. She came into our mastermind and some of my early marketing mastery joiners talking about releasing limiting beliefs around money. And it's so fun to really bring in new elements. And for Natalie, what I love most about her is that she teaches a lot about how nature can help you process emotions. Expression gets to be a part of that. So what we did was essentially write down on a piece of paper what our fears were, what kind of money blocks that we felt that we had. Some of them wrote a letter to their money. Other people wrote down, these are the fears, this is why I resent them. And we were able to just light them on fire. What I love about this process is that the first time I did it, I realized that it's so fun to just be able to really feel like you're kind of releasing and expunging them from your life. So it just made me think about how we get to make these shifts and these changes. And today's episode is about that, but thinking about how our creative process always needs a little bit of adjustment based off of how we're feeling, based off of what our in general time energy management is from season to season. So from releasing money beliefs, we're going to in general call in the kind of time and energy management we went for when we're creating content in our businesses. So one of the biggest myths around time management is that there comes a time that we just figure it out, that we could simply just be like, oh, I went to the finish line, I'm done, I've found out that I'm great at time management, and then we never have a problem with it again. But the more that we realize our energy and our schedule actually shifts with not only the seasons, but how we're feeling, and also what's happening in our business, what's happening in our lives, the better we can get at staying consistent with hitting our goals. So understanding that the more that we can reflect on what's coming up, how am I feeling in my body right now, what is inspiring me, what's motivating me, that we get to adjust and make those things come together. So we get to decide how we use our time. And full stop, I want to say that again. We get to decide how we use our time. That's something that I think comes up a lot. We talked about in the people pleasing episodes, but understanding that we don't have control over a lot of things and just being able to release that. But we do have control over when we wake up, how we can enter into our day, what we decide to prioritize. And that responsibility can feel pretty heavy. But the idea is you decide what you prioritize and what you're wanting to go for. So if we're talking about the summer, we're talking about this week, being like, I'm really tired this week. I want to be able to take extra naps. I want to be able to go for longer walks. You get to model your schedule to how that fits. Same thing goes for the season we're in. I feel like I addressed appropriately today for this podcast. The season we're in. So if you decide that your summer is going to be devoted to getting fit or upgrading your visibility in your business, or that simply you're going to be traveling and on vacations a lot more, simply using the summer as a test to show how you can balance or in general blend your work and life, you can do that. You can make sure that once you set the goal of, I want my summer to be full of time with my family, I want my summer to not feel like I dropped my business off and I'm never coming back, you can decide what this looks like. So putting that as an overarching theme, I like to check in quarterly and seasonally of what I would love to get out of that season. So if you haven't taken that moment for the summer, what is it, if you had to decide in the next 2 to 3 months, that you would like to leave the summer going, I did that well? I think for me in this moment is that I want to spend the time on those projects. Of course, I want my mastermind and my marketing mastery to feel really, really good. But I also want this summer to be the time that I get outside more than I ever have. For all of the New Yorkers that like stare outside while the sun is out and we're working, it's no fun. So how that for me, it's about finishing some really specific projects. So being able to do that and get outside. What is yours if you had to choose your top 2 goals for the summer? So when I know those things, when I decide what they are, I get to adjust my calendar blocks accordingly. I get to adjust how I spend my mornings, afternoons, and I want you to see that too. We are not robots. That's the point I want to get across with this opener here. We perform our best when we leave space for shifts and changes. We are not trying to just be overproductive, but instead be intuitive and understand that we aren't always going to be as productive as we were in October as we are in July. And there's no shame or guilt in that. It's going, we have different priorities. That's it. That's the difference. One of the top places I encourage my clients and entrepreneurs to check in on making these shifts is their content creation routine, especially in the summer. Work does not always have to prevent you from living your life. And one of the top places successful entrepreneurs spend their time is, of course, promoting their business. So keeping this episode in mind, if you want to be able to relax this season and still hit your visibility goals. Also, for any of you who are finding it hard to press post, this episode can serve as a way to create that first step towards creating momentum to what you're doing. So I'm going to introduce what I like to call low lift content. So being able to see what's going on online, you're going to see people that have fantastic transitions, really high quality video, who are doing big and beautiful, like photography moments, and being able to share like all of these amazing travels that are going on. But by watching it, you're realizing that, oh, they edited that a lot. They put a lot of time in that. I don't have the time to do that. That's called high lift content. So high lift content in my sense of the word would be something that's going to take me over 40 minutes to create, produce, and post on a regular basis. One post over 40 minutes. So that high lift content usually is if I'm trying to nail a transition, if I'm trying to do some B-roll with a talk to camera, or in general, if I'm really trying to do one of the trends that are online that I know I have to do a multi-cut or multi-clip video. Those are those high lift, usually high impact, but I know that during the summer months that I'm not going to have all of my content look that way. So today we're going to talk about what it looks like to have a library or a process to always have low lift content for summer or for any season whenever you're taking a look at it. So first and foremost, number 1, low lift content is simply to refresh your top performing posts. So we often hear about how our attention spans are getting shorter. True. But also there's an advantage to our attention spans getting a little bit shorter. They're like, being a goldfish is really lovely. Knowing that if you created something really show-stopping that your community loved a month ago, they most likely don't remember that you posted it, and you can post it again. You can use it again over and over again. So if you've been in the process of showing up consistently online enough to see what your audience likes and doesn't, you likely have this treasure trove of content that you can use and reuse each month. So we honestly do not remember what you posted 3 months ago. Sometimes I don't remember what I posted 2 weeks ago, and that's me creating the content. So understand your top performers from 3 months ago, last month, even in the last week, depending on people's scrolling habits, most likely are not going to be remembered if you post them again. So let's take advantage of this in favor of your time and energy. So at this moment, take a look, check your insights on Instagram or your email service or any other platforms, and look at take a look at what your top performers have been. Now, you can look at top performers in different ways. In general, you want to look at your reach being the first one. So if a post in general gets a decent amount of reach, there was a lot of things that worked really well with it. And then specifically engagement wise, if you are seeing that you are getting a lot of comments or shares, that's usually something that is something you want to lean into. So if I were to tell you what your top performers would be, focus in on your top reached and your top comments. Those are usually the better converting and most highly aware pieces that you want to play with. From there, take a look at it. They're 90% ready to go. So let me use myself as example. One of my best performing posts was a tutorial about the selfie video challenge. So I talk about the selfie video challenge, about getting confident on camera, has a lot to do with activating it, just doing it, putting yourself out there. So it was a reel where I was like, here's how to do the selfie video challenge. And I walked people through it, right? So the reel itself had a strong caption. So I had multiple ways I got to repurpose this really high performer. So I could reuse the reel itself as is if I wanted to. I could also take that video script, which you can always grab your subtitles if you use some of certain apps, and I could re-record that video script with my current energy. So I think I did something really quirky where I was like, I did like a little Vogue moment whenever I was doing the first version of this reel. So maybe I re-record it again and do a different version of that if I want to. I can also let that video script become its own carousel. So I can, instead of posting the reel again, I can just drop the things I say into a 5-6 slide carousel. Then within the caption, I can take a look to see if it could become a reel or that it is also a carousel. Last piece here, the main thing you want to do whenever you're repurposing your top performers is to take a look and update the caption, any of your in-video hooks or your CTAs, and schedule. So I just ran through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ways to use one top performer. What I really want to get across is, yes, the one way to repurpose is simply to repost the exact same thing. And but I encourage you at the very least to update your captions and your hooks. But if you are already in the process and the skill level of putting out really great content by itself, a lot of the work you've done gets to be, you get to pull the puzzle pieces apart and put them in a different shape in a different place. So I know that the kind of storytelling I might do in a reel absolutely has many different forms. So take this to consider. If you are very strapped on time, go into your top performers. Another way of being able to dive into low lift content is to steal ideas from your past self. So one thing to know is that I will have people come, they're like, I don't know what to post. I don't know how to post, or how to post about these certain things, like, or I'm just feeling stuck. And before we go into this, like, oh, why are you stuck? What's going on? I go, have you checked your notes app in a while? Have you looked at your blog posts? Have you looked at your emails from a year ago at this time? Now, this is different from repurposing for the fact that if you just read the brilliant words of what you had said a year ago, or those note in the notes app, those posts that have never gotten to see the light of day, new ideas are going to pop up to you. New ideas are going to come through. So we all have this like treasure chest of content ideas, but maybe they need to be put just in the right drawer. I've absolutely had sprinters come into sprints before where they will be like, I'm going to spend the first part of the sprint taking everything I've written in notes and putting it into my content hub that we give them. And that is, they leave going, I have 50 posts. Oh my gosh, it all got thrown together. It all got put together. So understanding that can be really helpful. Our creative brain has a fantastic ability to finish the thought. Like if you ask yourself the question, if you get inspired by something that you put into your notes, it will finish the thought. It's just the matter of taking that time to put it together. So in general, I like to encourage clients, I call them parking lot ideas. So even if you're feeling inspired by a conversation you're having, or in general, you watched an episode, you were listening to another podcast, you're dancing, you're just in general traveling, and you just have an idea that you don't know if it's going to come to fruition yet, write it down, have it somewhere as a way of knowing that it's in the parking lot. I can come back and bring it to the forefront if I'd like. This is also something to be said about reducing any attention residue you have going on. So being able to know that you don't always have to go with all of your ideas, but having a place for them, you're more or less creating this nice, let's say, filing cabinet for anything that you're going to need in the future. So ideas that go in the parking lot, you may not have had time to fully put together, but consider them that they are in a safe place that you get to come back to. So this can definitely look like your notes app. For me, my notes app is my go-to place. I've even tried Evernote and other organizational spots. Notes app just makes the most sense. It's easy to get to, right? Post-its are fine in general. Any other place that you may have put your ideas together. I definitely have a couple of clients who were bloggers first, and they just continue to just reread something that they used to do and bring it back to the forefront. So let's see if I can stop and take a look. Actually, if I'm looking at my notes right now, I believe I'm at I have 147 in my ideas catalog, which I recently took down from 160. So I know that I've got all these sets of inspiration that I can build. I like to call them like little seeds. I get to grow them into something new. But having the organization, let's say, of knowing where those ideas are can be really helpful here. So especially as summer and new seasons hit, you will find that the conversations you're having or, getting out in the world, simply allowing yourself some free time to let your mind wander creates new ones. But by having this option, it's what I'm encouraging you or giving you the permission to see your ideas as postable, no matter how they come to you. Okay. So take that moment, steal some ideas from your past self. Moving in, this one's really important for my video creators. So especially if you do not have the time to do a lot of filming, I want you to embrace the documentary style of video. It's being seen online all the time, and I want you to see it in two ways you can approach it. So when you are crunched for time, you likely won't have long editing sessions to put together. You might not be able to plan scene by scene if you want to do something really big. So this is where documentary style video comes in. So documentary style video is what it sounds like. You are documenting your life in some way. So the two ways you can do it is, one, you can batch film your day-to-day routines. So I like to encourage sprinters or my clients to think about the 2 or 3 scenes that relate to each of their content pillars. So in general, I talk about healthy and wealthy entrepreneurship, and if I'm going to think about 2 or 3 scenes that come to mind for me, it'll be like, okay, I'm making my morning coffee. Maybe I'm meditating. Maybe I show a piece of my workout. Maybe I'm going for a walk outside. Those are just little pieces that I can capture. Same thing goes for anyone who's thinking just like a nutrition pillar that you're working with. You might want to film yourself prepping a smoothie. You might be cutting up a vegetable. You might be simply cooking or making even taking your morning vitamins. So all of these are just simple things that you can turn your camera on and have for you. Just because I want to hit home with this, let's say you're a product brand. You are a candle brand that is putting something out there. You want to think about how your client or how you want your product to be used. So you might be filming lighting the candle. You might be setting a calm space for some late night reading. You might also be adding the candle or as a decoration in the living room, in a bathroom, whatever you want it to do. So it's essentially just like I'm saying, you grab it and you are showing the motion of you putting things away. As I'm describing this, just makes me think of how many TikTokers have gone viral just showing how they clean their houses. This is the idea, that we want to have and peer into video that makes us we can do that, or we can relate to what they're doing. We can relate to the scene that they're setting. But ultimately what it is documentary style video is branded stock video made by you. So stock images were something that we've used so many times. Now the idea or what we can think about here is, how can we brand our stock video in some way, shape, or form? So you get the benefit of not only showing your face, but showing your process and what your customers may curate for their lives. So having this, you can decide to block off 2 hours, 3 hours. You don't even need that. I've in our recent video visionary workshop, I was able to show how to get 10 clips, 10 documentary style clips in under 3 minutes if you wanted to. But if you wanted to plan it out, have your props, do that type of filming, you could make sure that you have an album full of this documentary style video in one session that you can use all summer long. The opposite end of this, or the second way of doing a documentary style video, is for you to take to simply use video creation as a way to be present in the moment. So let's say recently I finished a race around Central Park, and I just stopped for 10 to 15 seconds because the Sheep's Meadow in New York City was completely blank. Nobody was in it, which never happens, especially during good weather. And I just took a view of the park with the skyline, and I have that now saved in my drafts for me to use later. Same thing goes with, a peaceful moment on the beach, or laughing with friends, or in general showing a dinner one night. If you want, thinking about how you can use just a 10 to 15 second capture as a way of not only creating the memory and remembering the moment, but as easy fodder for documenting a recent trip. So the best way that I can use this as being in the moment is that on my birthday about a month ago, I was like, anywhere I'm going today, I'm going to take a 10 to 15 second video. Now it's a multiple clip video that I'm ready to post. And I also can use each piece along the way. So being able to know that I wasn't on my phone all of my birthday, but I was on it for 10 to 15 seconds 4 or 5 times that day. So being able to use just being present as a way to document this style of video. The reason why I love documentary style video the most is that what comes up is that people think that video and filming has to be this tireless, really big process. This is truly going viral in many places. So once you have this style of video, you could decide what you use with it. But what I love is that it can be anywhere from you put a trending audio over one of the videos, and then you put your 3 tips for shifting your money mindset, or the three affirmations that help me get centered, or my top 4 brands that are keeping me keeping me healthy and happy through the summer, whatever that might be. But the idea is you have the video, you can just drop that text over on the top of it. It's good, valuable content that you can, in general, be posting 2-3 times a week that did not take you so much time. It's the definition of low lift content. Let me know if you decide to try that one, because it's one of my favorites for sure. Next piece here is just talking about, you have every right to simply just reduce your posting goals when it comes to different seasons in life. So the best way that I can describe this is be able to talk about, right now, I'm in the middle of planning my wedding. I'm in the middle of 2 launches within my business. And of course, I love doing this podcast, but the podcast is another one. And what I might do is I'll take a look at the beginning of my week. How many emails and posts do I have batched, and how many don't I have batched? And if I have a normal goal of getting up 4 posts a week, can I give myself a little love and kindness when I have my bridal shower and clients in town and all of these other things in my schedule, to be able to say, this week I'm going to allow myself to have 3, or this season of life, I know that there's a lot going on. I'm going to be more than proud that 3 posts go up today. The number one bullshit thing you hear online is that you have to post every single day. Now, it will help you. I'm not saying that at all, but every single algorithm has a metric within their formula that gives more reach to people who are active week over week. So my intention, or my focus for you when I talk about reducing your posting goals in certain seasons of your life, is being able to say, okay, I usually post 5 times a week. I'm going to allow that to become 3 times a week. And what I mean by that is 3 times every single week. If you show up every single week the same number of times, or a similar number of times, that algorithm is going to see you as an active user. It's going to throw something to you. You're going to get better insights of how people are acting or how your community is acting in that time. So reducing posting goals has nothing to do with losing your visibility, but instead making sure that your visibility goals match what you can truly prioritize. So taking a moment and deciding, is posting every single day unkind to you in this season of life? Or the normal way in which this works with clients for me is that in the fall, people like to bring up their posting goals. They want to be a little bit higher. By the time the holidays hit, we bring it down a little bit lower. When January comes back around, it's like resolution season comes back higher and higher. By the time the spring comes in, they've got their new routine or whatever their posting goal is. They're going to see, okay, either they've batched enough or they've learned about it that when we go into the summer, they'll either reduce or they're going to have conquered batching and they're going to be posting on a regular basis. So check in. What kind of creator are you right now? Do you have a batch library ready to go? Do you have a lot of fun events, a lot of fun things you want to do for the summer? How can you adjust your goals to be supportive of the lifestyle you want to be leading right now? Not what the gurus and the people bullshitting about what the algorithm requires of you. Quality content will always rise above, but your ability to be disciplined and stay consistent, but you get to decide what that consistency is for this season. Okay. So we got through 4 really strong ways for you to make sure that you are creating low lift content. The first one being the absolute easiest, refresh your top performers. So take a moment to take a look at what are the best topics, the best things that you can do with that content. Second, steal some ideas from your past self. Take a moment to see if you can be re-inspired by what's in your notes app, what's in your previous emails. Number 3 is coming in with that documentary style video. Documentary style video is going to serve you not only to be present in your day-to-day, but also it's going to reduce your filming time and allow you to show up in a branded, strong vibe online. So taking that time. And finally, reduce your posting goals. Take a moment. You do not have to be as visible as putting yourself out there, showing up the same way in every single season of the year. Take a moment to see how this works. The reason why I wanted to come in with this episode the most today is that this is about building a business around you, not the fact that you have to devote your life to your business. A recent joiner of Marketing Mastery was talking to me about how she had this block of, if I want my business to be flourishing, I have to probably not live the life that I'm leading right now. So knowing that if we have that belief that we have to run our business in a way that only serves the business but does not serve us, we're going to burn out. We're going to resent the business. We're not going to enjoy the reasons why we started entrepreneurship ourselves. I think this is something that's really deeply rooted within me, is that we're not here to wait for our life to begin. We're not here to reach a certain money goal before we're allowed to enjoy. So as an entrepreneur, you have the privilege to build your business around you and the lifestyle that you want to lead. So knowing that you have that ability, take a look at how you can adjust your creative routine for this season. The summer is about enjoying the outdoors, enjoying family time, and being able to showcase that energy and that feel-good vibe in your content. So take a moment to think through that. I want you to enjoy every aspect of your life. That is the goal. When we talk about Limitless and we talk about this podcast, we are talking about not waiting to feel and have the joy that we're looking for. So I don't want you to feel guilty that you're not posting whenever you are enjoying every other aspect. How can we make these shifts? So take a moment, let me know which tip you decide to take today. If you are going to embrace documentary style video, please talk to me about it. If you're realizing that your top performers were badass from the beginning, tell me about it. I would love to hear from you. I'm over on Instagram, on any social, but especially on Instagram at Jamie Ratterman. So at JamieRattermann. DM me and say hi and tell me what you loved about this episode. Until next time, live a little more limitless.